Alright guys, so we want to be able to delete our bookmarks as well, and we're going to use something called Ajax to make a delete request to our back end. Okay, so we need to install that. So make sure you're in your Marks Manager folder, and we're going to do npm install -- save and then Ajax. Alright, now we're going to be working in the JavaScript assets file. So if we go to resources assets JS and open up app.js, we could put our code in here, but what I'm going to do is require a custom file. So just like they required Bootstrap, we're going to require /custom. Alright, we'll save it, and then let's create a file called custom.js. Alright, now if we were to do an alert, let's just say alert 1 and save, and go over to our site and reload, nothing happens because this hasn't gotten compiled into the public folder. So let's make sure that's saved, make sure app.js is saved with the require of the custom file here. Alright, and then we're going to go and we're going to run npm run dev. And that should compile everything. Alright, so now let's go back over here. You might have to clear the cache with Control F5. Yep. And there we go. There we get the alert 1. Now, instead of having to do this run dev every time we save, I want to just constantly watch the files, and we can do that with npm run watch. Alright, and then let's go over to our custom.js, and from here we're going to be using Ajax, so we need to bring that in. Alright, so let's say let's Ajax equals require Ajax. So it's gonna look in the node modules folder for this by default, and when we installed it using npm install, that's where it got put. Alright, now we're going to use jQuery for the events because we need a click event for this button. So let's quickly go over to home.blade.php and go to where we have this button. Alright, and then let's see what we're going to do here. We're going to add a data attribute to this button. So let's say data-id. And we want to send along the bookmark ID so that we know what to delete. So in here, let's do bookmark ID. We also want a class to be able to create the click event. So I'm going to add a class of delete-bookmark. Okay, make sure that's on the button. And I think that's it. So let's save that, and then we'll go to our custom.js file. Alright, and in here we're going to have to do a little event delegation. So we're going to first look at the body. Alright, and then we're going to say .on click, and then the element, which remember we gave that button a class of delete bookmark. So we're going to do that here. Delete bookmark, and then we'll have our function that'll run when that event happens. And for now, let's just do an alert, and we should be able to get that. Remember we created that data ID with the bookmark ID. We should be able to access this, which is the current element, the button that's clicked, and then .data. Oops, I don't want that there. And then pass in here ID. Okay, since we gave it the attribute of data-id, then we put ID. If it was like data-name, we would put name in here to access it. Alright, so let's just save that, and that should auto-compile because we're watching it. You can see down here it gives us a little notification. And then if I reload and I click on a delete, you'll see we get 1 for that. And click on that, we get the ID of 2. So we know that we're getting that ID. Let's actually put it in a variable. Alright, so now that we have that, we can make our delete request. So let's say axios.delete, because that's the type of request we want to make. and we want it to go to slash bookmarks slash and then the ID, which we can just concatenate on like that. All right, now this works asynchronously, so we just want to do .then, and in here put a function. And what we want to happen, all we want to do is reload the page. So we'll say window.location.reload. All right, and then we can also do a catch onto this if there's an error. All right, and that takes in an error as a parameter. And then we'll just console.log. All right. So this is going to make a delete request to this URL. So we need to create a route for this. So let's go down to our routes file. And we're going to get a delete request. So say route delete. And in here, the URL is going to be slash bookmarks. And it's going to be slash and then ID. All right, and then we're going to map that to the bookmarks controller, and it's going to be the destroy function. All right, so save that. Now we need to go create that, so let's go to our controller, and let's go down here and say public function destroy. Oops. All right, and let's see, destroy is actually going to take in an ID. It's coming from the URL. Let's see, and then we're just going to create a variable called bookmark and set that equal to bookmark find, and then just pass in the ID. And then we simply want to call bookmark delete. All right, and then we'll just return. The redirect is going to happen in the JavaScript, okay, right here. It's just going to reload. So make sure that that's saved. And then let's go over here and reload. And then for Twitter, let's click delete. And it gets deleted and it reloads the page. Okay, if we reload, it's still gone. All right, so we can now delete our bookmarks. So I think this was a pretty good project. We introduced how to use a different database, Postgres, how to add forms in modals, how to make requests using Ajax. So quite a bit. We learned quite a bit here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next project.